So who are you? What's your role? And where do you work?
My name is Zbyněk. I'm CTO at Kedify, company that is doing Kubernetes autoscaling. And I'm also a founding maintainer of Project KEDA.
Now, what are 3 Kubernetes emerging tools that you are keeping an eye on?
So I will start with the obvious one, which is KEDA, Kubernetes Event-Driven Autoscaler. I think it already for these years, it already solved a lot of cases I can see from users and customers. But there are still areas that are to be explored. I would say it could be like a storage scaling, it could be stateful workload scaling, it could be AI workload scaling. So there are a lot of possibilities, a lot of things that we can still improve. So this is my number one favorite project on Kubernetes, obviously. So definitely please check it out if you haven't heard about Kubernetes autoscaling. This is the tool for you to go. The second one I would say is OpenTelemetry. I really like, even though it's maybe not emerging, but I still like the direction it is going because it can it helps unified infrastructure. Let's say the open way, so you have metrics coming from all the places, and I believe there is a lot of potential in that. And actually, it can also be connected with autoscaling. So we can expose metrics about OpenTelemetry metrics about autoscaling, so you have the observability, what's happening in the system. But also we can use OpenTelemetry metrics to actually drive the autoscaling. So this is a good thing to do. And I'm also usually trying to convince people not to use Prometheus metrics with autoscaling. I tell them to use OpenTelemetry metrics because there are downsides with the Prometheus one. So this is something I'm excited about. And the last tool I would say it's a vLLM project. So it may be not directly like a Kubernetes project, but it's a framework that you can use to run your models on Kubernetes. So AI models on Kubernetes. It's like a unified framework how to serve the models on Kubernetes. There are a lot of things going around. There are multiple projects trying to utilize this project to do the actual serving on a higher level. And we also would like to sneak a little bit autoscaling there because autoscaling and scaling out and serving AI models is important thing. And it's well connected.
Now we're going to get into some questions that were based on topics that we mentioned in our podcast. So our guest Tybalt believes that autoscaling is great because it provides the relevant trade-offs, allowing you to fine-tune for good stability, efficiency, and response time. What's your advice on autoscaling Kubernetes clusters?
Yes, this is a very good point. I completely agree with the point, and I just want to highlight it. So I think that configuring autoscaling on Kubernetes is an important thing because if you do it well, you can really benefit from it from the cost perspective and also performance perspective. And I think I can see like a lot of people are actually just, we are using Carpenter, that's fine. It's resolved, Carpenter plus HPA. This is not enough. So for me, like to properly utilize, let's say Kubernetes and all the stack that is there, you should configure the autoscaling on both on the cluster level, which means Carpenter, cluster autoscaler, but also on the application level, because the applications are making the pressure on the cluster autoscaler to do the scaling decision. So please spend some time on configuring your workloads, and you need to constantly, fine-tune the settings to autoscale properly.
Our guest Yorick discovered that they needed a unified metric, for example, CPU, RAM, etc., to compare node resources and trigger scaling decisions. What's your advice when it comes to scaling Kubernetes clusters?
Yes, this is connected question to the previous one. So at the moment, cluster autoscalers or Carpenters are very well configured to scale based on the demand that is made by the pressure from the pod autoscaler. So as much as we are adding new pods, it brings I need more resources from the cluster. So it very well work with the CPU or memory requests from the applications. But what I would really love to see is that we can connect somehow all these different metrics that are coming to KEDA. So it could be different type of metrics. It could be some, custom metric that tells us, okay, big load is coming. So I would love to see something that we can tell the cluster autoscaler to give us the node in advance. So in short, it's basically use KEDA metrics to drive the autoscaling on the cluster level, because at the moment it's very hard to achieve actually.
Our guest Brian identified 2 problems with traditional HPA. First, these metrics aren't always the best proxies for demand. And second, these metrics in HPA react more slowly than event-based triggers. What are your thoughts on using CPU and memory metrics for scaling decisions?
Yes, very, very good point. And I just want to highlight that CPU or memory metrics are very good for some stable workloads. But as soon as, you have more, let's say, variability in the workloads, it is simply not enough. Especially if you are talking about, for example, HTTP traffic. It could be some gRPC services, something that is more, you need to have react more in real time. So this is where you should really think about ditching the HPA completely and try to, utilize something that is more smart and can predict actually the demand that is coming the way. So this is something where we should be going, not to react on the events, but let's say predict them in a way.
Kubernetes turned 10 years old last year. What should we expect in the next 10 years?
Oh, there's a $1,000,000 question, right? I would say that everybody would respond to AI, so more AI readiness, both on the, let's say, serving layer, so we can serve like all different kind of and sizes of models actually. But also I will see like bigger involvement actually of AI in the Kubernetes itself, like maybe not directly in the control plane, but something that is more connected, and we will see more autonomous Kubernetes clusters maybe. It might be, let's say, more difficult to debug, but whatever. I'll see. I think that this is something what's inevitable actually. So we will see it in a few years, definitely.
And what's next for you?
For me, so we are building our stuff around KEDA. So at Kedify, we provide enterprise features on top of KEDA, and we are building some really cool features. So one of them is predictive scaling. So the stuff I just talked about a few minutes ago. So we would like to anticipate the demand that is coming to the application, because KEDA is getting all the metrics from the workloads. So we would like to anticipate the trends in those metrics, and based on that, start scaling out a little bit in advance. Because scaling out is, expensive operation, let's say from the time perspective, if you have some large application that starts very, very slow. So we would like to be prepared for the load. So predictive scaling is one thing. And the other is the AI readiness in short. So to be able to help our users to scale out AI workloads more efficiently.
And if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
So the best way to do that is to reach out to me on Kubernetes Slack. We have a KEDA Slack channel, so feel free to chat, ping me, a DM, whatever. Connect me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to to talk about other things, not just related to Kubernetes, but also open source and this kind of stuff. I'm getting these questions quite often. There are, let's say, new people coming to open source, and they are asking for advice how to contribute. So feel free to reach out to me. And I will be at KubeCon, so stop by at our booth and also meet me after our maintainers track that is on Thursday.
Well, thanks so much for joining us. Look forward to speaking to you soon. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.